believe in your heart that your child is kind and beautiful and mystical, and you can learn from the child, they will sense that, and that will be their belief, because your words become their inner voice. I didn't want other people programming my child and telling them what they can or cannot be. So I took the charge.
Welcome to episode number 66 of the 100 Successful Women, a Conversation to Inspire series. I'm your host, Vivian Fan. Have you ever wondered what happens when a mother hits a breaking point during the pandemic with a newborn baby, empty store shelves, and seemingly no way to turn? Today's guest faced exactly that moment. And what she did next not only transformed her own life, but it is now revolutionizing how we speak and to connect with our children. Reena Krukeja is a remarkable woman whose personal crisis became the catalyst for a movement that's challenging everything we thought we knew about raising confident, emotionally intelligent children. As a former teacher turned children life coach, she's uncovered a truth that many of us have been missing. The secret to empowering our children starts in the place most parents never think to look. Her message has already earned her the Rising Star Award for speaking, but more importantly, it's transforming families one conversation at a time. If you're a parent, educator, or simply someone who cares about the next generation, you won't want to miss this powerful conversation. Let's welcome to our conversation coming up next. Hey Lina, thank you so much for joining us today from Vancouver, Canada.
Thank you, Vivian. I'm super excited to be here with you today.
I'm so grateful to have you here. As I had a chat with Reena earlier, we literally met a few times on Zoom, but this is our first time having this one-on-one conversation. And I did have a look at Reena's bio. She do a lot of great things, especially for younger generation. So without further ado, I really wanted to thank Reena and welcome Reena to our podcast today. So Reena, what time is it now in Vancouver?
It's 3:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday evening.
It's still Sunday. We are Monday here, a new week here. Yeah, I really
always be ahead of us.
I know we like sometimes I feel like, oh, the time goes so fast here. I feel like we get older faster here as well. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday afternoon. I know that it's busy time normally with family maybe on a Sunday. So first question that I always ask this 100 successful women guests is that, who is Reena at your core? I know that you're playing different roles in your life for sure. You are the mom of two beautiful girls. You are an author, a coach, a speaker, so many different roles that you're playing.
Yes.
So without those roles, who is Reena at your core?
Reena at the core. I think I'm proud to say this, that I am a former school teacher. I used to be a school teacher, and I'm a former school teacher, a mom of two beautiful little girls, 11 and 4-year-old, and I homeschool my children, and I'm a single mom, and I love life. I love learning every single day from situations around me and from children around me. And I'm open to learn. I think we are forever learners. I don't think there's a time where you say, I'm done with learning. I'm forever learner. And I love being in the community where we inspire, motivate each other, and learn everything every day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we're all lifelong learners, and then our life is like I think it's never ending. It's learning in different area. It's maybe when we were young we learned something in the school, but when we are in the society we learn so much in our life as well. I love that you are lifelong learners. So definitely we're going to learn so much from Reena today. And I had a look at Reena's bio. She is actually a children's coach, she's an author, she's a speaker, she speaks and work to empower younger generation. So can you share with us, Reena, what inspired you to become a children's coach?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So, you know that They say that there's two very important days in your life. The first is the day you were born. We celebrate every year the day we were born. And the second is the day you find out your why. So I have taken so many different careers. I just have this clear vision in my head. When I was 12 years old, and I still have this vision in my mind. I was at an assembly at school. I had wonderful teachers. I had great parents, but I felt that I have this need for someone to be there in my life who is a grown-up and who is a cheerleader, who I can laugh and play with, who can advise me, who can be there for me, who can love me unconditionally. And I didn't know what or who this person is, or if this person even existed, but I knew that I need this person. I don't have it. And I told myself, I don't know who this person is, but when I grow up, I am going to be this person to other 12-year-olds. So that vision was in my mind. And as I went into university, I did my bachelor's in microbiology. And then after that, I wasn't sure what I want to do. All my classmates went on to do masters in microbiology. I was like, oh, okay, let's go do a master's. I did my master's, and then I started working with my professor in the lab, looking into a microscope, doing research on pathogens, on microorganisms. And it was fun and interesting, but it didn't align. And I thought, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And I didn't know what it was. It was just nudging me and calling me something different. And I couldn't figure out. I went back to university and I thought, I need to be a teacher. So I went back into university to do a postgraduate diploma in education, and I became a high school teacher. So I was teaching students at a high school for 4 years. And at the end of that 4 years, it was a time for me to move to Canada, which was in 2010. I moved to Canada, and I started looking into continuing my high school career, but something wasn't fitting, like, the puzzle that fits. I didn't find that piece that fits. And it wasn't until about 11 years ago that I had my first child. My first daughter is 11 years old. And when she was born in 2013, I thought I finally figured out what my why is. So I wanted to be, we all want to be better parents. We all want to be the best parents. So I decided to go back yet again for the fourth time into college and learn to get into early childhood education. So I became an ACE, and I became a preschool teacher, and I thought it was amazing. I loved being with these little beings who just taught me so much more than I could teach them. They taught me how to be more present, how to be more raw and authentic and delightful in the little list of things, and not worry about the past and future. And it was like, this is it. But then guess what? We were in a system. I was in a school system. So the school system has rules. Because I personally believe that children should, take measurable risks, go out and climb a tree if they want to. Kids love to learn in nature. But I was always stopped, and it was like, oh, we don't allow children to climb trees because anything happens, we are liable. Liability, school is liable. And I get it. I get the rules, but I was like, okay, how old was I? I was about 43 years old, and I'm asking myself, what do I want to be when I grow up? I couldn't understand what was lacking. And I said, okay, I've been a high school teacher, and I've done lots of jobs. I've worked as I've worked in sales. I've worked as a customer experience person in grocery stores. I've done so many jobs, and I'm wondering, what am I going to be when I grow up? And then in 2020, of course, that was the turning point. And I was pregnant with my second child. I went through a divorce in 2017. So that was that was quite a roller coaster. But in 2020, I was pregnant, single, and I had a 6-year-old, and I gave birth to my second child just by myself. COVID hit, and I was going through the darkest time of my life. It was so hard. When I think back and I ask, wow, how did I do this?
Mm-hmm.
We all know, we all go through all these ups and downs, and there's always a reason. And that was a turning point. And that's when I understood. I started getting really into personal development programs like Mind Valley. I discovered Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dolores Cannon books. It just all came to me at that time, and I did Life Book, and I started understanding what my purpose, if you want to call it, of my purpose of being in this world. And I went into certification of being a kids life coach, and I finally became a kids life coach in 2020, and I loved it. I was like, this is it. And I do one-on-one coaching with a kid, 8 to 12-year-olds. That really gave me the true fulfillment. Except the beginning of this year, I then realized that this is a lot of time investment where I'm coaching one-on-one with a child, and I love it, but it's taking up a lot of my energy and my time, and that and so I discovered speaking. I discovered speaking with Kaylee Chu, and the same message can be given to a wider audience and has more impact, has more influence. So that's what I do now. I speak on stages, I speak to a bigger audience, I do workshop facilitation. I think now at my late 40s, I know who I want to be. I know who I am now.
Oh, that's such a great question that we has missed. That's a question that we should be asked when we were younger, but in actual fact, we were never taught about asking that question, and we were never taught that to think about this question as well. That's why I think I love that you actually give this gift to the next generation and allow them to ask this question, to allow the younger generation to know who they are, so that they don't need to wait until they are in our age, right, in order for them to really find their purpose.
Yeah, and I also learned over the last few years is that for my main message is to empower children to be more confident, resilient, and have a lifelong love of learning. So I want to empower them, give them that voice. But that cannot happen without we empowering ourselves first. So if we are empowered ourselves is only when we can give. Like Wayne Dyer says, if you cut an orange and squeeze it, you will get orange juice. If you cut a grapefruit and squeeze it, you'll get grapefruit juice. If you blend whatever fruit, you get that juice, what is in you. If you are full inside, that's when you can give. One of my coaches said a beautiful thing. She said, if you want to give the best of what life have to offer to your child, give them the best of you. Take care of yourself. And when your needs are filled, if you're going to run on empty, if you're going to give in from a place of obligation, from a place of resentment or fear or guilt or serving yourself last, it's a disservice to these children. These children deserve the whole of you, not the half empty of you. So this is something I learned really late, because I've grown up, as I'm sure you have too, and we all have, in a generation where the women served first before they served others. They serve, before they serve themselves, they serve others first. And then in the end, when there's a little bit left, but this is not true love. This is what we can give. If we want to give the best of life, what has to offer to our children, give them the best of yourself first.
That's such an important message there, Reena. I so agree and resonate with you, especially in a lot of our culture, we were taught that as a woman, we have to serve others and put ourselves last. And that's such a big issue, especially for the next generation, because a lot of moms especially, they probably put themselves last, and then without realization, they actually make that examples for their next generation, especially for their daughter as well.
Yeah.
And I really think that your message is so important for a lot of moms and daughter out there as well. Thank you so much for what you're doing, Reena. Definitely such an important message and mission that you have there. So as you mentioned earlier, your transformation, that aha moment is actually when it's like 2020, that was a pandemic time.
Yes.
Do you mind to share with us, because that was prior to that, you were having that thought that you are meant for more, but you just don't know what is that. So what is that pivotal moment like for that year? What is something that trigger you to make that decision to really want to become a children coach?
So before 2020, it is something that I was carrying in my subconscious mind. It was inside my body to take pride in helping others first, as a badge of honor, that look, I was the last one to sleep and I'm the first one to wake up. Look how much I'm doing. I'm so good. And that was like an honor. And I would say the pivotal moment was, as a single mom to a 6-year-old and a newborn, I was in victim mode. Poor me, like, and COVID. Everything is shut down. I can't see anybody. And I have a newborn. I just remembered a story, if I can share. That just brings tears to my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a newborn baby. She's about a week or so old. Everything has shut down. Shelves are empty. I am stressed out. So my breast milk is not that great. I feel like I'm not producing enough because my baby's diaper was dry. I called the hospital where I delivered the baby, because when you're in the hospital, you can ask for formula. There was no formula on the shelves. Checked everywhere. As you know, in 2020, things were cleaned on the shelves. You couldn't find the necessities. I don't know what to do. My baby is hungry. I'm stressed. How do I can eat food, but she can't. What do? I called the hospital where I delivered, because they provide you formula to when your baby is born. And they said, we are really sorry. We can't help you because you were discharged last week. I said, but my baby is hungry. What do I do? We're sorry. You'll have to find a way to find the formula. And I just remember that moment so clearly. It gives me tears right now. What do I do? I called my doctor and I said the diaper is dry. And sometimes, when there's a little, like, it looks like blood, but it's a sign of dehydration. So I called a friend to take us to our doctor, and she said, your baby is dehydrated. And that's the time I broke. What do I do? And I just gathered myself. I took a deep breath in and I said, if whatever situation is in front of you is given to you because the universe or the source has believed that you can overcome it. So I know I can overcome it. So I gave myself that strength and I gathered the strength, took deep breaths, and I just continued. She was on my breast the whole time. Whatever she can get, she could. And slowly, day by day, she gained her strength. The milk started coming and she was fine. But when I look back, I just think, oh my goodness, that was the time where I was so helpless. And so the victim mode was in me. The poor me. I was alone. I didn't have anyone to help me. So I deserve, blah, blah. And I started looking for the village around me. Where's the village? It takes a village to raise a child. But that's when it hit me. If you can't find the village, Reena, go create the village. Don't be shy to ask for help. We women, we don't like asking for help. We think we're superhuman beings, can do everything. But no. I knocked on my neighbor's door. I asked for help. If I needed something, I needed to have just a coffee by myself without the kids. I called somebody, come, please watch my kids. I just need to go for a walk and listen to something. I started asking for help. and the village was around me. Nobody ever said no. And if they say no, it's not a big deal. Go to the next person. So I wasn't shy to ask for help. I asked for help. I got incredible community to raise my kids. And that was your question. What your question was, what was the pivotal point? Was that point where I made that decision that I will create that village. I'm not going to cry I'm not going to use my tears and say, poor me, poor me.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that you actually in that darkest moment and you find your way out, and in that pivotal moment you decided that I am going to stop being that victim and reach out for help. And it's such a blessing that you have your great neighbors and also that community to be there whenever you need them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that time your girl was only 1 week old, and then that's how you decided you want to create that village, create that community, not only for yourself but for your daughters as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's such a great examples of finding ways, because when you search for it, there will be answer for your question, right?
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking to myself, like, I want to raise confident and resilient children. And I was to tell myself these false stories that I do everything for them. I prepare lunch for them, I cook for them, I clean for them. They have enough to eat, they have good clothes to wear. I'm a good mom. But then I asked myself, yes, that's what every parent does. But I want to ask my child, do you feel loved? And that's when I realized this is not true love. When you make sure the meals are ready, you make sure the classes are in order. We all do that. Make sure they have the proper shoes if they're going to a sports or something. That's not true. What is true love? True love is when that child feels seen, heard, and understood. Does the child feel seen, heard, and understood? And when you bring this into your awareness, naturally you become more present to their needs. And it's not the needs of the food and the shelter, it's the needs of, are you there? Are you present? And when you are present, when you're there, that's where there's that connection. And I started understanding that just like us, our children also have love languages. Their need to experience and express love is different. I have an 11-year-old and a 4-year-old, and their needs are totally different. One loves to be snuggled and hugged and she feels loved, while the other one, her love language, her need is spending quality time, words of affirmation. It's different. I started learning that, and then the way we empower children is the main thing, my main thing about my career is about speaking. When you speak, like when you're aware about what you're saying to your child, that's what's going to empower them. So your communication, whether it is verbal communication, non-verbal, your actions, the way you show up, that is what is going to set that solid foundation for them.
That's so true. Watching have this conscious awareness of your language and how you convey the message to your children, that's how they perceive the information as well. So you did say that your background was in education, you were in childcare, you were high school teachers. So the childcare or the early learning, early childhood education, that was after you had your first child, is that right?
That's right.
And then you decided to homeschool them. You did mention that the reason why you're homeschooling your kids is because the restriction or different rules within the school. So from your experience as a homeschool mom and also as a children coach, you have a very unique perspective in education for sure, Reena. So what are some of the difference that you can see or you can observe between the traditional school and also your approach in, especially when you mention about developing all these soft skills for the children?
When people ask me, why do you homeschool them? Your life will be easier if your kids just go to school. Yes, my life will be easier, but it's not fulfilling. The one reason I homeschool them is just this. I want to keep the fire of learning burning. I don't want my kids to have facts memorized to be able to pass an exam and then forget them after.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And Vivian, as I started discovering this journey of homeschooling, I was surprised to see that I thought it's just a few handful of families who do this. There's thousands of families in Canada and around where it's legal. Some countries don't allow it, like Germany, they don't allow it for whatever reason. But there's thousands and thousands of families who have chosen this alternative way of educating, of taking that charge to educate the child away, because I know my child best. When my child was 6 years old, she would come home very, very upset, and she would be like, I don't like going to school because when I'm doing something, I look out the window and I just want to be outside. I just want to discover things outside, not in the classroom. And at 6, she could verbalize that, and she could say that I don't want to be in a classroom where there's 4 walls. And she would come and say things like, oh, my teacher says you'll never get a job. And I said, what? Why? She said, because when I was doing my math, I was told that I'm too slow.
Oh.
And I said, and then what happened? Well, the teacher told me that if I'm so slow, nobody's going to hire me. And when I graduate, I'll never get a job.
Gosh, 6 years old.
6 years old. And I said to her, she came home from school, and I said, I had to remove that programming. I said, listen, not only will you not get a job, you will be the one giving a job to people. You are going to be successful no matter what you do. So these are little things that I've been in the system. I know. I mean, we are overworked and underpaid, really, teachers who put their whole lives into it. And then sometimes we say things unintentional, without any intention of harming. But the kids, between the ages of 0 to 7, whatever you tell them, they take it as the complete truth. They take it, they absorb it as if this is it, because that's the time where their subconscious mind is at work. Their conscious mind, where you're analyzing and understanding, doesn't start until 7 or 8. So whatever you tell them at that age is the complete truth. They believe everything you tell them. You tell a child, oh, you're lazy. It's going to be on their... It's going to be a label they'll carry. I am lazy. So whatever they do, oh yeah, I should not do that. I'm lazy. So it's so important to really understand the things we say to a child at that age, because you're programming them. If you believe in your heart that your child is kind and beautiful and mystical, and you can learn from the child, they will sense that, and that will be their belief. Because your words become their inner voice. So I didn't want other people programming my child and telling them what they can or cannot be. So I took the charge. People were saying, you're crazy. You're a single mom and you're homeschooling. Don't. It's a big risk. But I followed my intuition and I did it. And I'll never regret this decision. They are thriving girls who are... homeschooling is not where you sit at home and you read and you do a blackboard and you teach. We are with the community. We get out with other homeschoolers. We go into museum, or we go into the forest hiking, or we go on trips. We learn together as a community. So it's not just me with my kids at home teaching them. They're learning with the community.
You're such a good mom, Reena. I really admire you, what you're doing. It's definitely a lot of work to homeschool, and you are definitely one of the great mom for doing that. And Reena, you did mention earlier, as a school teacher, you know the system, and you definitely have been working around teachers as well. And you did mention that because of the teachers can be underpaid, they got lots of workload. So as you can imagine, as a mom, whether they are single, whether they are not, there are lots of things that going on in their life as well. And without realization, it can be the time where the kids is pressing the button.
Yes.
Yes, there's so many thousand things that happening in a mom's life. It can be some of the working moms as well. business mom, there can be a lot of things going around in their head, and the same for the teachers as well. That's why it can be without realization they say the words that unintentionally that hurt the children.
Yes.
So what is your biggest tips for those of us mom who can be like have the kids that sometimes press the button? Because I can relate to that, because I also have an 11 years old as well. And then I can see that yes, we have the intention to put a lot of efforts and love out for our children for sure, but it can be other things that in our minds are so busy, and kids can sometimes you wanted them to, of course we understand that they have their own opinions, they have their own thoughts, but sometimes we don't have the time and we don't have the energy probably to pay 1000% attention. What is your tips around that, Reena?
Vivian, I want to tell you a story about that. About my older child when she was 5-6 years old. So it was a Sunday night, and I was exhausted from the week. I was prepping for dinner, and she was playing somewhere, and I made the regular dish, the Indian dish is dal, which is lentils. Dal and rice is the simplest thing you can make, quickest, easiest, and it's healthy, it's tasty. So I did not have the bandwidth to create this exotic, kid-friendly meal that we try to do for our kids. I just went for the simplest of things. I prepared that, and I was in my mind there was a lot happening, because the next Monday morning I had to think about the meeting I had to be in and prepare for the whole week, and there was a lot going on. So I was cooking, she's playing, and I called her, come on, let's eat, it's dinner time. She's playing and she's not listening. And I was like, okay, today I am going to be calm. I'm not going to lose it. I took a deep breath. I said, come on, it's dinner time. Come and let's have dinner. She came to the table and she looked at the food and she says, dal and rice again? Yuck! I don't want to eat this. And I told myself, I can do this. I will not lose my calm. I will not lose my calm. I can do this. It's like, I don't want it. I don't like it. Yucky. And I lost it. I said, oh my goodness, can you be grateful? There's so many kids in the world that are hungry and you're being so ungrateful. Just eat that food. Stop being so picky. Just eat. I was yelling at her above my voice. Oh no. I told myself, I said I was not going to lose it. I'm such a bad mom. I lost my calm. And the child ran to her room, shut the door, and was crying. All I wanted to do was to go to my room and cry on my own and leave that child alone to cry. I had wanted nothing to do with her. Let her starve, let her be hungry. I don't care. That's what I felt like. But then I didn't do that. I wanted to reconnect, because if I did that, I'm going to be passing on the pattern. I took a deep breath. I'm a good parent. I can do this. It's a mistake. I went back to her room. I sat down next to her and I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry. I yelled at you. There's a lot that's happening. I was panicking about a few things and I yelled at you. And remember, it's not your fault. Please forgive me. My head and my heart were not connected and I threw all the anger at you. It's not your fault. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. And at that age, they're so quick and ready to forgive. You're the parent, like they love you. We just hugged. And we hugged and she said, it's okay. I said, let's go and eat our dinner. And we went and ate our dinner. But Vivian, let me ask you this question. What do you think would have happened if I didn't repair the rupture? A rupture happened. If I didn't repair. Two things. If the child was left on her own, she was going through two things. One, self-blame. It happened because of me. I am the bad person. I'm the bad kid. It happened all because of me. Self-criticizing. I made the bad things happen. I am not a good human being. Me, my fault, these two things. You know, Gabor Mate, the author, he said something that stays in my mind. It's so beautiful what he said. He said, children are not traumatized because they are hurt. Children are traumatized because they're left alone in the hurt. We all yell. We all lose our calm. The question is not, do we yell? The question is, what do you do after?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do after that? So we lose our calm. We are human beings. Just go and apologize, even if it's to a child, and show them that I am vulnerable enough to apologize. And you're showing them you're actually the example of what you want them to be. If you're going to not apologize and say, oh, it's all your fault, you're not setting that example for that child to copy, because they're going to mirror your behavior, right? So yeah, they push our buttons. Every day my buttons get pushed. And I think that's whatever that is inside you that needs refining, you will see that in your child.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever needs you need to work on yourself, that child is going to show you where you need work on yourself. That's how I look at them. So
definitely. I love that at the beginning you were saying the lifelong learners, and that's especially important as a parent, because as a parent it doesn't come with the user manual, as I always said. And that's why you need a lot of learning in order for you to be in that level. When you will push at the button, you know when to pause and then to not go on a different route. If you wasn't on this personal development journey, probably you will choose to go ignoring your daughter, but you pause and you think and react in a different ways, and require a lot of learning, require a lot of like you say, a conscious acting in different ways, right?
Yeah. And you know, it doesn't have to be with a child and parent. It could be in any relationship. Your solid relationships are not solid because there's no conflict in them. Solid relationships are solid because the people in that relationship know how to reconnect after a disconnection. They know they have the tools for that reconnection. There's conflict. Tell me a relationship where there's no conflict.
None. I don't think there is any.
But few relationships have the tools. So if we have those tools and apply them, life will be so much better.
Yeah, I love that. So true. We need to learn those tools in order for us to tap into that tools whenever these conflicts happen. And I really appreciate you for sharing that, Reena. And it's such an important message for many moms out there, because that's definitely a lot of, I can see that definitely there will be parents out there that need this piece of information, Reena. Oh, thank you so much for that, Reena. And I know that you did mention that you do a lot of things. You are obviously a mom that homeschool your children. I want to give you a heads off for that, and it's not an easy job. And also you are doing coaching as well. So can you give us some tips on how did you balance among all these chores, all these responsibilities that you have?
Well, one thing that I speak about a lot, like you mentioned earlier, that they are the triggers and they press buttons, but then there's one thing that I constantly, even I need reminders. I speak about it, but I need this reminder, and it's this one sentence, which is connect before you correct. Whether it is with a child, or whether it is with a colleague, or it could be your boss, or it could be a friend. Before you correct that person, connect. I love that connection. Listen to your heart, because we are always working from here. Come drop down into your heart and ask yourself, what would love do? My daughter made me a bracelet, is WWLD. she put beads and she put these 4 letters. Because this is what I'm teaching them as well. WWL, what would love do? Because love would not do what the mind just wants to be rational. The minds want to keep you safe and want to, logical, rational. But the heart is about love. And every human being in the world has this desire for love, has this desire for connection. Any age, a baby or a 90-year-old, we all want to give and receive love. So what would love do? So this is something I remind myself every day. Connection before correction. Are you connecting and are you laughing and playing most of the time? Or are you correcting and instructing and directing most of the time? It's because they remember what you do most of the time. You can't always be connecting. It's what do you do most of the time?
Wow, that's such a beautiful message there, Reena. WWLD. And it's definitely so helpful just by listening to what you just shared there, Reena. Connecting before correcting. And it is so helpful, especially for you to balancing any juggling in life, because like you mentioned, it's all from our head, because we thought that we got so many to do, we got so many responsibilities. But when you mention about connecting, you connect with your heart to really connect with yourself and go and do things from the place of love, and you know what to prioritize. And when you know what to prioritize, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal for things to do next. It's not a big deal as long as it starts from the place of love.
So beautifully said, Vivian. So beautifully said. It's just, and we all have this guidance. We have this North Star, which is right here. And there's been a lot of research that's done that it really is. This is another mini brain. So let's work from there. We need this, but we need this as much. Like we have to work with both, and working from the heart. The intuition, the guidance, it's there for all of us. We just need to tune in, listen. Answers are there.
Wow, it got me into I had goosebumps listening to you. I totally need this message as well today, this week, because there's so many things going on, and I'm going to remind myself about this WWLD that I learned from Reena today. Thank you so much for that, Reena. That is I'm very well aware of the time as well, Reena. I think I got lots of questions for you, but then because of the time, I will pick another question that I think is very important as well. So what is your number one tips for building a child's confidence?
Number one tip is one word. And that word is a 3-lettered word, which is FLY, fly.
FLY.
Yeah. And FLY, fly. What is fly? First, love yourself.
So is that when you say yourself, is that for the parent or for the child?
For you and I. As a parent or as a wife or as a boss or any role, learn to fly. Learn to love yourself first. First, love yourself. Be complete, be full, be whole, and then serve. Because then that's when magic happens. If you love yourself first. So first, love yourself. That's the one tip. We can go deep into it, but that's a clear message. Love yourself first.
Oh my goodness. I love these 2 acronyms that I love from Reena today. Easy to remember, WWLD and FLY. Those 2 acronyms, those 3, the 4 and 3 words. That's the biggest takeaway for me today. So easy to remember, and it's all start from love. And I I really appreciate what you share with us today, Reena. Thank you so much for what you're sharing with us today, Reena. So another question that I would like to ask is that at the moment, who are the people that you help within your coaching programs or your speaking gig? Is that parents or is that school? Who should reach out to you?
So who should reach out to me is parents, of course, but also educators, school teachers, early childhood educators, and anyone who is in the life of a child.
Anyone who is in the life of a child.
Let's get together, let's work together, let's make magic happen. We cannot do this on our own. We cannot. That's how we're designed. We're designed to be connected, to be helping each other, to be getting tips from each other. I've learned from you today. I've learned how open and welcoming you are to bring a voice to women like me who want to share this message, who have this fire to share, and women like you're providing that platform for me to share. So we're working as a team and we're all interconnected. We all help each other. So that's my message. So parents, educators, teachers, childcare providers, let's come together and raise a better generation.
I love that. I really love that, Reena, because that's how we are all doing a small part for a better generation, like you say. It's such an important message because in the world that is quite challenging at the moment, it is such an important work they are doing for the younger people out there. Thank you so much, Reena, for your message there. So where can people find you online, Reena?
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I have a website, coachreena.ca. But I often like Facebook Messenger is the quickest way to reach me. I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, any parents out there, any people who work with children out there, make sure you reach out to Reena because I learned so much from Reena today, especially as a mom with the kids who probably they can be a little bit handful sometimes. So definitely reach out to Reena. And Reena, it's such a great conversation that I had with you today. I learned so much from you and I'm going to apply that definitely. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. So if you have to leave one piece of advice for other women out there, Reena, what would that be?
So we have choices, we make choices, and not making a choice is also a choice. So when we choose to connect before we correct, we are going to raise a generation that is going to be more aware, more confident, more resilient, and who will be these true leaders in the world. So let's make that choice. Let's not be hard on ourselves. Let's not the past define who we are, because those are the lessons, those are the things that we all go through. Let's not use those. Let's make this choice that I may have made mistakes in the past. We all do. But I'm going to choose now to be more aware, to be more present when I'm working around children and relationships. Let's make that choice.
Wow, that's such a beautiful message there, Reena. And I love that you're saying that don't make the past decide our futures, and then remind ourselves that the choice is now. Make that decision now. You can literally, whatever that we did before probably is not something that is going to serve us, but the decision is all start from today. And like you say, the day we were born and the day that we find our why. Why do you want to do that?
It took a few years for me to figure that out, and it can take time, but once you know your why, then there's that fire. And they say don't go around asking what does the world need. Go and do what brings that fire in you, because the world needs people who have come alive, who are on fire. So it doesn't matter what that is. Ask yourself, what makes me come alive, and go grab that and do that, because that's your passion. That's what brings you to your.
Love that. Get that fire in you and grab that. And I think it's such a powerful message there, Reena. Thank you once again, Reena, for your time. But before we wrap up, is there anything that you want me to ask that I haven't asked yet, Reena?
I just want to thank you. It's people like you who bring a voice to us, and I'm relatively new from coaching. I moved into speaking, and I'm so grateful that you provided this chance for me to speak. Love chatting with you, and please keep on doing this and helping the women around the world to bring out the best. And everyone has a message. We all have a message. We need people like you to speak up and to deliver that. So thank you so much, Vivian.
Oh, thank you so much, Reena. I definitely enjoyed the conversation with all you ladies, because from this conversation that I get to learn a lot more and all these golden nuggets as well. Thank you so much, Reena, for your time, and hopefully we'll get you again next time to share with us a lot more of your wisdom and knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you. Bye.